Our next item on the order of this evening is the Toast to Absent Friends. And the Toast to Absent Friends was first held, as I mentioned earlier, in 1919. And that was largely dedicated to those who lost their lives in World War I, but we've kept it up, and it obviously includes and incorporates all members of our organization that have passed away since the previous dinner. And I found a very interesting piece of information when reading through the World War II chairman's reports. And evidence of this little bit I found was given by Lieutenant A.J. Lawson. And this man was captured at Tobruk when he was with the 7th Reese Battalion, and he then managed to escape his prisoner of war camp when it was taken over by the Germans. He cut a hole in barbed wire, he scaled the wall, and then he quite casually walked 450 miles to his freedom. And when eventually he found Allied soldiers, he wrote the following letter to the secretary of the association at the time. And he said the following: "It was some time before the South African officers found themselves together again in Camp 47. Lofty Howards canvassed the camp for old boys and found we numbered 17, dating from 1914 until 1938. And so we decided to form a branch of the Old Boys Association. And on the night of the annual dinner, we held a cocktail party by dint of hoarding our somewhat meager wine ration for some weeks and biscuits from the Red Cross parcels. A merry time was had by all." And I can just imagine how heartfelt the Toast to Absent Friends would have been at that function on that evening. Now, I can't think of any person more appropriate to deliver this toast than Mr. Chalky Somerville. He isn't very happy with me when I refer to him as Mr. Somerville, but fortunately I have the mic for now, so I can say whatever I want. Mr. Somerville attended CBC, which once again is a reminder that none of us is perfect. He then graduated from the University of Pretoria with a BSc in mathematics and joined the staff in 1965, leaving in 2007 after 42 years of dedicated service. Chalky was an iconic cricket coach at the school, and he rose to the title of Master in Charge, where he finished his career. In addition to this, he ran the mathematics department in the 80s, and he was also elevated to the position of Deputy Headmaster, a position which he held until his retirement. And I think quite possibly the most notable thing about him for me personally is that whenever I start looking at calculus or I hear that word, the smell of Camel cigarettes just wafts into my mind. And the funny thing about him is that he didn't really retire. He's remained involved in the school since his retirement, largely in a support role in the mathematics department, with many of the boys benefiting from his extra lessons. And a lot of people have said when they talk about Chalky Somerville that he's a part of the furniture. But I actually think that there are only two pieces of furniture left at the school, the headmaster's desk and his chair on stage, that have survived the length of that man's term in service spent here. And so I would like to call him to deliver his toast this evening.